Hello and welcome to today's discussion. The first question was discuss the provision of Article 352 of the Indian Constitution. Now, the Article 352 basically in the introduction we are going to simply say that what is Article 352? It is nothing but the provision for the national emergency. Simply we can write that this is the provision for national emergency. Next, within the body, first of all we are going to say that why is this being declared? This is being declared because it can be declared on two grounds. First, it's on the external aggression. With the external aggression, you can give the example of 1962, that is the Sino-Indo War, and the 1971, that is the Indo-Pak War. Next is the armed rebellion. Remember that prior to armed rebellion, that was the provision was for the internal disturbance. But however, it was the 44th Amendment Act that changed this. But remember that this part of information you are not required to write, because this is a 10 marker question and you have to finish it within 100 words. At max to max you can go up to 150, but not beyond this. Next, procedure for declaration. It says that the president can declare the national emergency anytime he feels that the national security is under threat, only on the written order given by the cabinet, and this was introduced via 44th Amendment Act. You can simply write in the bracket 44th Amendment Act. It's more than enough for the examiner to understand that this provision was added by the 44th Amendment Act. Time period. It remains valid for 6 months upon approval by the parliament. When I say parliament, it means that both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. See, here we do not need to write in details how the Lok Sabha approves it or how the Rajya Sabha approves it. If you are writing, basically what you are going to do is that you will be consuming a whole lot of time. Next, it says that it can be extended every 6 months, but with the prior approval of the parliament. Simple. In simple language, you just finish this time period. Next, conclusion. What can we write in the conclusion? That's basically what is the significance. So basically I would write the provision is to protect the national security of India. Hence, it remains very much significant. Done. Simple. Within 100 words, your question is done. Next was that state briefly the procedure of election of the President of India. Can it truly be called as the proportional representation system? Give reasons. First of all, introduction. First of all, President of India is the head of the state of India, who is elected via the proportional representation system. This must be your basic introduction. Next, who participates in the election? We can say that all the elected member of the parliament. Simple one-line statement. All the elected member of the parliament. Next, all the elected member of the state legislative assembly. Last but not least, all the elected member of the state legislative assembly of the union territory. Or simply we can write that all the elected member of the parliament, state legislative assembly, and the state legislative assembly of the union territory. It can also be written in a one-line statement. Basically people write like this. This is the very wrong method of writing. All the elected member of the parliament, state legislative assembly, and the state legislative assembly of the union territories. This is the most simplified form of writing your answer. Within one line you are going to completely finish that who participates in the election. Now, weight of the vote of MLA and MP. This is for your MLA and this is for your MP. If you can present this in a box, so far so good, examiner will give you at least some marks. Next, whether the question second part was that whether it is a proportional representation system or not. In this question you are going to write yes, it is truly a proportional representation system, as the president's election is held in accordance with the system of the proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, ensuring that the successful candidate wins by the absolute majority of votes. A candidate must secure a fixed quota of votes, or the electoral quota, and the formula is nothing but the total number of valid votes polled by 1 plus 1 and plus 1. This is simply just write down the formula, no need to explain it. Hence we can say that it is truly a proportional representation system. With this you're completely ending your introduction, body, and conclusion. Yes, you in the conclusion simply just write that this is nothing but a this presidential system of election in India is truly a proportional representation system. Simple. Next, third question. In India, there is a balance between parliamentary supremacy and judicial review. Explain. See, in this context, in your introduction itself, you need to explain what is your parliamentary supremacy, and then you need to explain what is judicial review. And in the body itself, you have to write why there is a balance between them. So basically, what is your parliamentary supremacy? Parliamentary supremacy is nothing but the parliament as a sovereign is the highest lawmaking body. Simple. What is your judicial review? Simple. Article 32 and Article 225 empowers the Supreme Court and the High Court to review the law made by the parliament. Done. Next. There is a balance between both parliamentary supremacy and judicial review. Reason being, while the parliament can make the law on any subject, the judiciary can review the law to check whether it is in accordance with the constitution or not. Hence, there is a balance between the parliamentary supremacy and the judicial review. Within the minimum words, you can complete your total answer. Next, it says that the appellate jurisdiction of the High Court. Now, this was quite of a complicated question. It's not that it's not very difficult, but the thing is that writing an answer and shortening the words, it's quite difficult. However, I have completely reduced this. A High Court is the primary court of appeal. This is the simple statement in your Lakshmikant. Again, your Lakshmikant itself says that with the appellate jurisdiction in both civil and criminal cases. This is your first introductory statement, that High Court is the primary court of appeal with jurisdiction, with the appellate jurisdiction of both civil and the criminal case. Next, civil case. Appeal lies from the subordinate courts and tribunals. Enough. When I say subordinate court, it means district court, municipal court, etc. Now, appeal lies on the both question of law and fact. Again, appeal lies on the question of law only. And then you also have to write that the intra-court appeal in case of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras High Court. What is this intra-court appeal? Intra-court appeal means that there are several benches within the High Court, and within that benches itself you can make an appeal from one bench to another. Criminal case. Appeal lies to the High Court when there is an imprisonment for more than 7 years. Remember this. Next, appeal from the judgment of the assistant session judge, metropolitan judge, magistrate or other judicial magistrate again lies to the High Court. Or simply we can say that the appeal from the judgment of the subordinate courts lies to your High Court. It's simple. With this only you can finish your answer. But within this, remember one thing is that no subordinate court can give capital sentence until and unless they have the approval of your High Court. Next, this is basically your 5 markers question. So basically I was not discussing the 5 markers question given the condition that I thought that most of you would be able to write it and shorten the words, but I saw that most of you are completely extending your words and crossing the word limits. That will not do. See, what is the function of the State Information Commission? Basically what I have started is that the State Information Commission is a statutory body formed under the RTA Act of 2005. Now for the State Information Commission of Odisha, you do not need to read any other polity book of Odisha. It's simply your Lakshmikant can do. In the Lakshmikant itself, you exclusively have a State Information Commission. So basically what I have written is that it is the duty of the commission to receive and inquire into the complaint for any person, from any person with respect to information denied, delayed, wrong information, and with respect to the fees charged for the information. Simple. This is your 5 markers question. With this sentence itself, what you will be able to do is that you're totally describing the function of the State Information Commission. If you want to add more, yes, you can add more. For example, that the State Information Commission has a provision that it has the power to impose penalty up to a rate of 25,000 only. You can also add this point, but try to shorten this. Next, how does the government exercises control of the Gram Panchayat in Odisha? See, this polity note has already been uploaded. Please kindly download it. But this is a 5 mark question. So basically, I have made 2 points and 2 points that I have directly hit to the point. I would say, basically, the state legislature has the legislative power to confer the power with the to confer the Gram Panchayat with power and authority. This is simple. Remember that there are 29 subjects within your Panchayati Raj Act, and as per that, it is the discretion has been given to the state legislative assemblies that what power they want to give it to the Gram Panchayats. It is through this is number one, that they are exercising control. Again, one thing is that appointment of the secretary of the Gram Panchayat. This is basically a government post which has been appointed by the which is being appointed. Now basically what happens is that I'm quite not sure whether they are doing it in Odisha or not, but still then I'll confirm this. But for the discussion, yes, this point can be written. Thank you. That will be all for today.